Hey guys, welcome to the next video on Python tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create your first class in Python. Now, if you haven't seen my last video in which I have discussed what is object-oriented programming and what are classes, I will highly recommend you to watch that video because this will be a continuation of that video. So let's create a class in Python. So for that, I will create a new project. So let's create a new project in PyCharm. So just click on File here and then click on New Project. And then the project name I'm going to give here is Oops. And then I will just click on Create. And I will choose this option which says Open in Current Window. And also this option which is Add to currently opened project, which is going to create this project in this window itself which is already open. So now you can see we have an empty project here, and inside this project let's create a Python file. So right click on the project and then new, and then we are going to create a new file, and let's create a class called car. So I'm going to name the file name as car because we are going to create the car class. Now, in order to create a class in Python, you use a keyword class and then you give the name to your class. So the class name in our case is car, and then you give this colon, and for example I write here a keyword called pass. Now when you write this keyword after the declaration of a class, this means that it is an empty class. You can also use this pass keyword to create an empty method. So this keyword pass is used to create an empty class or an empty method. Now here, after the class declaration, let's see how we can create an instance of a class. So it's really easy to create an instance of a class. So let's create a first object, and I'm going to name it as Ford, which is a car brand. And then you use your car class name and use these parentheses here. Okay. So this here, Ford, is an object, or you can also say it's an instance of the class car. In a similar way, we can create multiple objects. For example, Honda is another car brand, and you can create the Honda object using this class car. Once again, you can create a new object, for example, Audi, and then you can once again use this car class to create this object. So what we have done till now, we have created 3 objects from the class car. Now in the previous video, I told you that you can associate some data with your object. So let's associate some data. So for example, Ford, we can associate an attribute called speed, right? So we can assign the speed, for example, 200 here. For Honda, we can assign speed, let's say 220, and for Audi we can assign the speed, let's say 250. So speed here is called the attribute, and whenever you create an empty class using this pass keyword, you can add these attributes on the fly. So you can see we have added these attributes after the declaration of the class and after the creation of the objects. Let's add some more attribute to these instances or the objects. So a car can have the color. So I'm going to just write color, and the Ford has, let's say, the red color, and let me just copy and paste here, and let's say the Honda have the blue color, and we have the Audi of black color. So once again, color is an attribute here. Now if you want to print these attributes, you can use this print method, and then for example we want to print the speed of Ford and the color of Ford, then we can do it like this, and let's run the code. So in order to run this code, First of all, when you create a new project and a new Python file, you need to right click on this file and then click on run the file name, whatever is your file name. My file name was car. So you can see now the result is printed here. First is the speed and second is the color of an instance Ford. Similarly, you can print the color and speed of Honda and Audi objects also. Now if you want to change some attribute, it's also possible. So let's say I want to change the speed of Ford object. So I'm going to use Ford.speed once again, and this time I want to assign 300 speed to this attribute. Let's say we also want to change the color of the Ford object. So I'm going to just use Ford.color, and this time I want to use the color blue here. And let's once again we will try to print the color and speed of the object Ford, and now you can see this result. So before, the speed was 200 and the new speed is 300 for the object Ford, and before the color was red and the new color is blue for this object Ford. Now if you have followed the last video, this speed and color is the data. So speed and color are the variables which holds some data inside them. But still we haven't added any behavior or methods to our class car, and that we will do in the next video. Now let's create a new class, because understanding classes in any language is difficult. So let me give you another example. So this time I'm going to create a new Python class, and I'm going to name this Python class as a rectangle, and then press OK, which is going to create this class. And to create a class, you already know, you use the keyword and the name of the class and then the colon, and we will also make this class an empty class using this pass keyword. And in order to create an instance, I'm going to just write rect1, which is the first object, using the rectangle class, and then I'm going to create rect2, which is the second object, using this rectangle class. And now what are the attributes which we can relate to the rectangle? A rectangle have a width and the height. So let's add the width and height. So let me use the first object, and let's say height is 20 for the rectangle 1, and then we are going to use the second object, and once again we are going to add the height for the second rectangle. Let's say the height of second rectangle is 30. Similarly, we can add the width to the rectangle. So width is equal to, let's say it's 40, and rect2 object have the width, let's say 10. So what we have done here, we have created a rectangle class, and then we have created two instances of the rectangle class, rect1 and rect2, which are also called objects. And then we have added some attributes to our objects, which are height and width. Now let's say you want to calculate the area of these two rectangles. I can use the print method, and then what is the area of the rectangle? It's the multiplication of the height and the width, right? So I can use this rectangle 1 object, and then I can call the height and width of this object, and this will give me the area of the rectangle 1 using this multiplication operator. Similarly, I will do the same for the object 2 here, and let's run the code. And if you remember what we need to do, if we create a new Python file, we need to right click on the file and then click on run, right? So once the file is running, you can choose from here which file you want to run, but at least once you need to right click on the file and just click on run whatever file name you have. So you can see the area of rectangle 1 is 800 and the area of rectangle 2 is 300. So this is how you can create a very simple class in Python. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add behaviors to your class. That means how to add methods to your class and how to use this method to manipulate this data which we have provided here in the form of attributes. So stay tuned and please keep watching these videos, and I will see you in the next video.